الرحيم. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. اللهم افتح علينا حكمتك وانشر علينا رحمتك يا ذا الجلال والإكرام. Alhamdulillah, first of all, I just, from the bottom of my heart, from the staff that has worked very hard, also from the local community that worked with them, also the community from Long Island, some of them are here tonight, this afternoon, they were there last night. We went late into the morning and just, mashallah, we've been overwhelmed. The East Coast, the West Coast might not be the best coast, but the East Coast is definitely not the least coast. So you have been really, really supportive, and we're fortunate to have this support in our community. But I have to say, in all honesty, that this Dr. Ibrahim Musa, and if you noted the if you noted the lecture series, I'm getting some feedback. I don't know what to do.
The sound people can go to power.
Sound people, hello. Nothing worse than feedback. We have more engineers in our community, yet our mosques have the worst sound systems.
That's so true.
I used to give khutbah in this masjid with 1,000 engineers, and I would always get these. Yeah, I would always get these horrible reverbs, and I'll tell you a story about the Haram in Medina. This is an absolute true story. They had a massive problem with the feedback. This is a true story, because I heard this from one of the engineers inside the room. And when they first built the masjid, they had state-of-the-art, they brought in German technology, everything. They could not figure out the feedback problem. Well, one day, this man came from Europe. I think he was from Germany, a Turkish man. He came from Europe, and he was really bothered by the feedback. So he went and he told them that he could solve their problem. And they said, do you know about this? He said, yes, I have a discotheque in Berlin, and we had that problem, and I solved it. So he actually solved the problem in Medina for the feedback. It was a sound engineer from Germany who was working in a discotheque. So it's one of the weird things about being on planet Earth. These strange things happen. So I have to tell you, we need your help, we need your support, because this institute is growing, and Dr. Ibrahim Musa, who was there, and if you notice, the lecture series this year has been extraordinary. We have had some of the best scholars come to California, and fortunately a lot of them come for other things, because we have several major universities in the Bay Area. So we get these visiting scholars coming to Berkeley or Stanford, and we have the opportunity to bring them over, and they can give lectures, and they've been very accommodating so far. So our students have really benefited from that aspect. But we are going to grow. We're bringing in a second year now, the freshmen of next year, and then this freshman class is moving into the sophomore year. We need to hire, we need infrastructure. The only thing that I can really promise you, I have been working with this project for several years. We have made a lot of mistakes. We were on learning curves, and we have tried to be as transparent as possible. We have, alhamdulillah, I can honestly say I do not believe, as far as I know, that there has been any misuse of funds. There has been inefficient use in the past, undeniably, that has bothered me and has bothered other people. But we have not had any problems. We've had internal audits. We've kept it at, we're trying to run it like the best professions in the United States are being run. We have adjusted those things that the internal auditors said needed to be adjusted. And we feel confident that the 501c3, which is the tax-exempt status in the state of California. I don't know what they call it here, if that's a federal designation, but that's what they call it in California. This last year, though, has been a transitional year. It's really a watershed for Zaytuna. One of the interesting things, a lot of people didn't notice this, but our logo, and many Muslim logos do this, our logo has a crescent moon. Actually, for the first 10 years, the crescent moon was the wrong way. It was a waning moon. And somebody noticed that, brought it to our attention, so we actually had it switched the right way. Everything changed after that. Right? So it's been waxing since. But I can honestly say that we brought in a first-rate director for the Institute, for the college, and Omar Nawaz, when we met him, he was an award-winning manager at Microsoft. He was at, I think, HP before that. Cisco or HP? Cisco. So he has worked in the best of the corporations in this country and knows how to do things at that level. And he really turned the Institute around since he's been with us. And it's been a great blessing. Our commitment is to get better and better. Now, what I'd like to talk about is three things right now. The first thing I want to talk about is just education and the idea of education and the problem. Education, the second thing, just so I can remember, so people can keep me clean here. The second thing I want to talk about is where we are, and finally, I'd like to talk a little bit about where we're going. The concept of education is, in the Islamic tradition, central. The Prophet ﷺ said in a sound hadith, إِنَّمَا بُعِثْتُ مُعَلِّمًا. For those of you who know Arabic, you know what innama means. Innama is what they call, it's a vehicle of encompassment. It means, I was only sent as a teacher. And if you get into rhetoric, people who know these sciences, you have idafi and haqiqi. So it's an idafi, but it's emphasizing the fact that he is saying, I was only sent to teach. I am a teacher. That is essentially what our Prophet ﷺ was. He said, إِنَّمَا بُعِثْتُ مُعَلِّمًا إِنَّمَا بُعِثْتُ لِأُتَمِّمَ مَكَارِمَ الْأَخْلَاقِ. I was also sent to perfect noble character, using innama again. Education and morality are inextricably bound together in our tradition. We do not separate the idea of education from morality. There was a time in this country, and it was not that long ago, when they had that idea. That is no longer the case in higher education, even in high schools today. It is simply not the case, and I think you have to be aware of what's happening in this country, because we are seeing a downward spiral that has been increasing since my youth and getting worse and worse. And each year, they say the good news, right? The bad news is this year's worse than last year, but the good news is it's better than next year. This is where we're going as a society. All you have to do is look out and around you. Look at the television programming. There's an amazing statement that Alexander Pope, he was a great poet from the 18th century, died in 1744. He's one of the great British poets. He's famous for his essay on man. But he said, vice is a monster of so frightful mean, meaning face, M-E-I-N. Vice is a monster of so frightful mean, as to be hated, needs only to be seen. All you have to do is see vice, and you hate it, because it's ugly. Vice is ugly. Then he said, but seen too oft, it becomes a familiar face. If you see it too much, it becomes a familiar face. And then, first endured, you put up with it, you tolerate it. Then pitied, you start feeling sorry for it. And then embraced. It's embraced. It becomes normal. The Prophet ﷺ said, كيف بكم إذا أصبح المنكر عندكم معروفا. How will it be when what is vice to you today becomes virtue? tomorrow. And they said, أَيَكُونُ ذَلِكَ يَا رَسُولَ اللَّهِ? Would that ever be, Ya Rasulullah? And he said, بَلْ أَشَدْ, even worse than that. And they said, what could be worse than that? كَيْفَ بِكُمْ إِذَا تَأْمُرُونَ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ وَتَأْمُرُونَ بِالْمُنْكَرِ وَتَنْهَوْنَ عَنِ الْمَعْرُوفِ. How will you be when you begin to condemn virtue and encourage vice? Now, if you look at our young people are growing up in a culture in which evil is cultivated. Vice is cultivated. If you go to universities today, it used to be that many people in this country, especially women, this is a fact of American history, women, when they started going to colleges, because initially they went to all-girls colleges, all-girls schools, but when they began co-ed education, many women went to university to get married, to find their spouse. That was part of the university experience. You went to find your spouse. Now, and for those of you who know the history of Facebook, Facebook was designed by some computer geniuses to not find potential spouses, but to find potential sources of sin. It was literally designed to get girls to put up their pictures, what their hobbies are, and then you could meet them online, and A leads to B, and B leads to C, and before you know it, you're at H, which stands for H-E-L-L. This is where this culture is going. And you don't need to have a crystal ball. All you have to do is look at where we've come from and where we're going. In the 1960s, if a woman and a male in a college in the United States were found in the same room together, they would be expelled from the school. That was only the 60s. The idea of the type of dress that you see, all of these things, it's become normative. So young people that go to colleges now, go to colleges and they're surrounded by an environment that is antithetical to everything that they've been taught in their homes if they've come from good Muslim homes. This is a cultural shock for many of them. Because you're sending an 18-year-old girl who you have raised, nurtured, loved, and cared about, and you're sending her into an environment that has literally wolves. I mean, this is the reality. So it's really important for us to understand that education in the United States has completely changed. It has lost its course. It's gone way off. In Islam, education, we call it tarbiyah and ta'lim. Tarbiyah is the same idea of educare, which is a Latin word. People always make jokes about me explaining words, but words are important. The Quran is kalimat. The Quran is words, and if you don't know what the words mean, you'll never know what God meant. And our tradition is a tradition of analyzing words. The reason that I do that so often is because I've spent 30 years reading books by people like Fakhruddin al-Razi and Imam al-Ghazali, who that's all they talk about is words. Because words, this is what the human being is grounded in language. We are language producers. It is what makes us unique. It's the reason why we're not herded with animals and beasts. Because we can articulate, we can speak. It's what gives us power. But the word education comes from a Latin word which means to lead out of, to draw out of. Tarbiyah is a word in Arabic which means to nurture. Most of our scholars say Rabbul Alameen is the nurturer of the world. Allah is the one yurabbi al-alameen. He is the one that takes the seedling. He creates the seedling, but then He takes the seedling, He brings the sprout into existence. The sprout becomes rooted, and then it grows, and then it bears fruit. That takes nurturing. If you look in nature, trees invariably end up upright. But when we plant trees, if you notice when the municipalities plant trees, they have to put 2 sticks on both sides and bind it to make sure that it doesn't go off. Because humans can't do what God does naturally. We need that help. Education is supposed to be those two sticks for your child. That's what a good school and a good education should be. Those two sticks that help it grow straight, upright, naturally, but with that aid of learning, the acquisition of knowledge. Education, first and foremost, is not to get a job. And that is never how Islam has been seeing education. The Prophet ﷺ said that one of the signs of the latter days, he said, يَتَعَلَّمَ النَّاسُ فِي غَيْرِ وَجْهِ اللَّهِ. People will learn for other than the sake of Allah. If you do something for a job, that's not for the sake of Allah. If you do something for a diploma, it's not for the sake of Allah. You're going to get something else. If you learn knowledge in order to turn heads, the Prophet ﷺ said it's one of the things that will take people to the hellfire. Imams that learn knowledge in order to impress other people and turn their heads. Knowledge is for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's the foundation of our belief about knowledge. Now the other aspect of it is that knowledge should humble you. It should not make you arrogant. It should actually humble you. The more you learn, the humbler you should become. Because the weight of knowledge, realizing what that means, the responsibility of carrying knowledge, the responsibility of transmitting knowledge, the importance of living in accordance with your knowledge, the importance of not being a hypocrite. Those are the things that should be foremost in the acquisition of knowledge. Imam al-Ghazali says that as a person learns, the knowledge should be like fruit. The more you get, the heavier the tree gets and the closer the branches come to the earth. It should weigh you down. سَنُلْقِي عَلَيْكَ قَوْلًا ثَقِيلًا. We will thrust upon you a weighty word, the Quran says. A weighty word. This is a weight. We're called the thaqalain, the two heavy things, because we have a heavy burden. We have the burden of free will. We have the burden of this responsibility that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given human beings to carry this. We live in an age of entertainment. In Arabic, entertainment is called lahu. Lahu. This is an age of entertainment. Everybody is being entertained. News has become entertainment. Education has become entertainment. They actually have a word, infotainment. News has become the most entertaining news today watched by young people is by a comedian who tells more truth in his news than most of the major news networks. Lahu in Arabic is ma yashghaluka amma ya'nika. It's what preoccupies you from what you should be doing. And this is why when Yahya ibn Yahya al-Laythi, he was an Andalusian who came to study in Medina. He wanted to study with Imam Malik. And when he came, an elephant came into the city, and somebody came into the majlis of Imam Malik and said, Subhanallah, Jafir. And all the students, like people often do, they all laughed to go see the elephant because they hadn't seen an elephant before. Entertainment. And Imam Malik was left there, and Yahya ibn Yahya was the only student left. And Malik said to him, don't you want to go see the elephant? He said, أنا ما أتيت هنا لأرى الأفيال أتيت هنا ليأخذ عن الرجال. He said, I didn't come here to see elephants. I came here to take knowledge from great men. And Imam Malik made a dua for him. Yahya ibn Yahya al-Laythi was not the best student. He was not the most knowledgeable. But he is the one that the Muwatta of Imam Malik is transmitted through his riwayah. Even though superior scholars transmitted it, he is the one. The riwayah of Yahya al-Laythi is the riwayah that all the Malikis learned. Because his himma was there. We know that the Prophet ﷺ was sitting in the majlis, he was in the majlis and he was teaching them during the khutbah. A caravan came into Medina and somebody came and announced the caravan. Everybody left except for 12 men. Tarakuka qa'ima. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that what is with Allah is better than lahu and tijara. The entertainment of seeing this caravan and the tijara that came with it, that what was with the Prophet ﷺ in that masjid is better. This is one of the fundamental crises in the human condition, is that we don't know how to prioritize. We don't know what to put before what. In American parlance, we zig before we zag. Too often, we zig before we zag. Education is about prioritizing. The single most important thing for people to learn is who they are. If they know that they're Abdullah, everything from there will be correct. But if the foundation is not there, if they don't know who they are, we've got a species now on this planet that does not know who they are. We have spiritual amnesia. And really, it's spiritual Alzheimer's disease. We have a spiritual Alzheimer's disease. We have forgotten where we came from. We came from the world of Alastu bi Rabbikum. That's where we came from. Am I not your Lord? Bala shahidna. Indeed, we bear witness, we testify. That's where we came from. Human beings have forgotten that. The messengers come. You see, Imam al-Ghazali in his book on death, because now I can talk about where we're going. I didn't want to talk about that yet, but I'm already there. Because it's just staring us all in the eyes. Imam al-Ghazali says that we are destined for hell as a species. In his Kitab al-Mawt, in the Ihya, and he gives the verses like, none of you exist except that you will go to hell. You will go there, you will see it. But there are those who go across the sirat. They only look at it, they see it. And the prophets are saying, Sallam, Sallam. And if you want to hear one of the most extraordinary descriptions, as far as I'm concerned, in all of the hadith, look at the descriptions of the sirat, because we are all going to be there. Stephen Hawking is going to see this place. All of these atheists, Sam Harris, he will see it. We can wait. It's your choice. فَمَنْ شَاءَ فَلْيَكْفُرْ. Whoever wants, let him disbelieve. We don't have a problem with atheists. Muslims have never had a problem with atheists. This is your choice. But you have to understand the implications of the choice and what it means if you're wrong. But if you make that choice, it's your choice. God gave you that right. But He has also warned you of the consequences of your choices. Just like in legal systems, you can choose to obey the law or you can choose to disobey the law. You can do that. You have a driver's license, you can go out, even if you don't. You can get in a car and you can, but there are implications to your actions. There are repercussions. And if the law catches you, you have to face the consequences. But you have been forewarned. If you choose to disregard them or say, I don't believe in the laws. We all believe in the laws of physics, whether we know them or not. We don't jump off buildings. We go downstairs or elevators. I might not understand the law of gravity as it was explained by Isaac Newton, but I understand the implications of being a human being that's susceptible to gravity. But if I choose to ignore gravity and jump off the thinking I can fly, if I'm on LSD or something like that, I suffer the consequences. This is the warning that human beings have been given. Imam al-Ghazali says this on the Mahshar, and I just finished writing a paper that had a very transformative, it was a very transformative experience for me because it was mapping out the afterlife. And no religion, as far as I know, has the detail that our religion has about the afterlife, because our Prophet ﷺ saw the whole journey. He saw the whole journey. Allah showed him on the Isra and the Mi'raj. He showed him, and he came back as an eyewitness. The prophets are people on the road to hell in this world that are saying, stop, turn around. This is not the place you want to go. And they're doing it out of love for humanity and out of compassion. This is essentially what is driving them, is love. Because they don't want to see people fall in to the pit of hell. That pit exists in this world. As a reminder, Allah says, we let you taste the punishment of this world in order for you to get a glimpse of what's coming. And that's why there are people in hell. Right now in New Brunswick, there are people in hell. You have crack addicts right here in this town. These people are living in hell. And they're living in hell because of conditions and environments, because there were not people there to guide them. There weren't the sticks there to keep them straight when they were young, when they were budding. There were not the educators that had the moral decency to recognize that these are human beings. They need good schools. They need good families. They need education. They need jobs. They need recreation. All of these things. They were ignored and neglected. And only Allah can judge them in the afterlife. We can't judge them. But we see the hell that they're in this world. And that might be what they're getting. Allah has shown us. There are people that don't believe in these things anymore. Or you have now in the new religious progressivism, there are people that say, oh, there's no hell. God would never send people to hell. Look at the world. We've never had a problem with evil. Muslims have never had a problem with evil like Christians. We don't have a problem with evil because evil is part of the world. Allah created good and evil. We believe that. Evil is part of the world. And it's part of the qadr. Because we آمنت بالقدر خيره وشره حلوه ومره. I believe in what Allah has measured out in this universe. The good, the evil, the sweet, and the bitter. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us these prophets who have warned us and said, turn around. That is the choice that you make in the world. That is the choice that every single human being should make. And that is called ikhtiyar. Akhtara means to choose good. Khayr. Akhtara means to choose good. That's all you can choose. You cannot choose evil. You capitulate to evil. The Prophet ﷺ said, حُفَّةَ النَّارُ بِالشَّهَوَاتِ. The hellfire was surrounded by attractive things, seductive things. Come try this. Come get high. Have a joint. Oh, you'll really enjoy this. And then you get high, you smoke the joint, and you feel nice. Everything feels good. And then wait till you try this. If you think that's good, just try this. And then you try that. And before you know it, the person's in hell. They're in hell. It began with shahawat. And he said, حُفَّةَ الْجَنَّةُ بِالْمَكَارِهِ. And Jannah was surrounded by distasteful things. Getting up before dawn, getting up at dawn, doing wudu in the cold, giving money that's difficult to give, because it's hard to do that. It's hard to give money. You think, oh, I've got my family, and they say, the Arabs say, قِرْشٌ أَبْيَضْ لِيَوْمٍ أَسْوَدٍ. A white penny for a black day. Save, keep it. It becomes troublesome. Relatives, helping this, helping that. There's so many problems out there. Where do we begin? I need to take care of myself. That's what the self says. No, you need to take care of yourself. We have Muslims that they say, I need to take care of my children, ensure their future. And some of them, it's like they're thinking about their children like 7 or 8 generations down the road, because they have enough money to do that. Life is about sacrifice. Where we are going is determined here. This is where we determine, where we make those choices. Now, in terms of our community in the United States, where are we headed? These are questions that all of us has to ask ourselves. We have to have these conversations. It can't simply be one person pontificating and in some cases bloviating, but we have to have them amongst ourselves. We have to have conversations about what types of communities we want, what type of schools we want for our children. And if we do what we are challenged to do, we will have peoples from other faith communities knocking on the door to ask if their children can go to our schools as well. Because that's what happened with the Catholics. This country was an anti-Catholic country, but when the Catholics built superior schools, Protestant parents started knocking on the doors to send their children to those schools because they wanted them in those environments. Now in some of the most elite private schools, the distinction is the cocaine is much better. The people are getting high in shark skin suits instead of t-shirts and jeans. This is what's going on out there. The STDs, look at the rates of STDs in this country amongst young people. There's physicians in this room that know these statistics. You look at the rates of chlamydial infection, of gonorrhea. They're inoculating little children now for venereal diseases, giving them vaccines for hepatitis, a type of hepatitis that you can only get through drug use or through illicit sexual relations. And they're giving these things to little kids, just in case. What kind of expectation is that in a society? How far we have fallen as a species and as a community. And the reason for this, I mentioned this last night, but I'll mention it again. In my estimation, the reason for this is because the angelic realm has been eliminated from the human condition. People don't believe in angels anymore. But I can guarantee you, if Allah wished, He could remove the veil right now, and you would be bewildered by what you see. You would be bewildered by what you see. If you went right now down to Times Square, if you went down to Madison Square, if you went down to Grand Central Station, you would be amazed at all the jinn that you would see. You would probably lose your mind. It's a blessing that we don't see these things. But we have a vision of angels right here. I've got 2 angels. They're right here with me. They don't leave me until I die. This one, I have a hard time. I'm asking, please, don't write it. Just wait. Make Toba. We believe that. They're scribes. What does the Quran say? It says that all of your sins are in a digital book. وَمَا أَدْرَاكَ مَا السِّجِّينُ كِتَابٌ مَرْقُومٌ. It's in a digital book. Allah says, سَنُرِيهِمْ آيَاتِنَا فِي الْآفَاقِ وَفِي أَنفُسِهِمْ حَتَّى يَتَبَيَّنَ لَهُمْ أَنَّهُ الْحَقُّ أَوَلَمْ يَكْفِي بِرَبِّكَ أَنَّهُ عَلَى كُلِّ شَيْءٍ شَهِيدٌ. Allah says, we will show you our signs in the south and on the horizon. One of the signs of Allah is the computer. We now have computers monitoring all of our transactions. You get, at the end of the month, you get an itemized everywhere you went. They know where you bought your gas. They know what food you had this month. All of this now is digitalized. It's all being monitored. Your telephone calls. They even have ghost images. The FBI can come in, take your computer, and they can retrieve all of your emails. And if they have their recording equipment, they have all of your conversations inside your house. What you were saying to your spouse. All of that can be recorded now. Entire lives can be recorded. Reality TV. On the Yom Al-Qiyamah, those recordings are there as well. The digital book shows itself. Everything that you did, said, and thought. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is recorded. He is the ahsan al-hasibin, the best of those who reckon, the best of those who calculate. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is al-hasib. He's recording everything. This is it. This is our life. What are we doing? What kind of recording? What type of a reality show are we making? Because Imam al-Awza'i, one of the meanings of al-Arab, and there's different Arab on the Yawm al-Qiyamah, there's 3 Arabat. But one of the ard is to see your life, sa'atan sa'atan. You see it, moment by moment. For the believers, they're actually put into a private chamber. It's not seen in front of other people. And they just have to admit what they did. Is this a true account? Did you do these things? And they say yes, and Allah forgives them. But for other people, it's shown for all the world to see. You get to see, if you want, it's all there. You can see the Lincoln assassination, who really killed Kennedy. Did they really go to the moon? All those things are going to be revealed. It's WikiLeaks in the grandest of scales. Nothing is hidden. Everything is revealed. That is our destiny. So we have to ask ourselves, in light of that fact, what are we going to utilize this unique, momentous opportunity of life on earth? Because He's given us life right now. This is our time. It's not other people's time. Imam al-Ghazali was here. He's gone. His books remain, but he's gone. He's no longer walking the earth. Fakhruddin al-Razi is gone. Khadija al-Marwiya, one of the great scholars of hadith from Afghanistan, she's gone. All of the hadiths of al-Bukhari come through her. She's gone. All of these great people are gone, and we're here. It's us. This is our time. We won't be here for long. It's a brief moment. It's a brief moment, but it's our moment. And this is the challenge that we have as a community, because everything that we build here will be reaped in the next life. Good and evil. What we do here will determine our experiences there. And that's the basis of our educational worldview. People say, why should I send my child to Zaytuna? I mean, it's not even accredited. Do you think that the masjid of the Prophet ﷺ was accredited? Really? People that were studying there? They were people that it was all based on merit. If they learned what they learned, they went. And I'll tell you something about this country. Diplomas are meaning less and less. You're not getting jobs. Everybody's a 4.0 now. You can pay to get a 4.0. Everybody's a 4.0. Everybody's done this and done that. When you go into jobs, they're not looking at those things anymore like they used to, because they used to have a lot of meaning. They don't have the same meaning anymore. They want to know what you can do. What can you do? And then they want ethical people, because there's so many problems. There's so many people that are dishonest, so many young people now. Cheating is rampant in our universities and high schools, even in the lower grades. Cheating is not a big deal anymore. Even teachers cheat now. They've proven it. They've cheated in some of these school districts with the tests. I said, the other day that we had now our governor, ex-governor, they just found out about a child that he sired with his maid, and the only thing that we were shocked about is how the hell did he keep it a secret for 10 years? That was the shock. Wear bracelets. Like in India, they just buy the bracelet so you can take it off. The whole point of, these ornaments is that you can actually take them off if you want to. Tattoos are permanent. This is the type of madness that we've got. But see, they don't know that tattoos are haram. And the Jews know that, because it's prohibited in Jewish religion. And I'll bet you if you went back, I don't know the canon law about it, but I'll bet you if you went back, you'd find the Christians probably prohibited it as well. But they don't know these things anymore. This is the culture. We've got people now, it's amazing, because I go into places now, like I go to bookstores, and I can barely communicate with some of these young people now because they grunt. They don't speak English anymore. Excuse me, I'm looking for this book. Do you know where I can find it? And then I'll ask for something. I swear to God, like the other day, I asked for a book by Dostoevsky. Because I'm reading with my older boys. We're reading literature, so I'm reading with them Notes from the Underground by Dostoevsky. So I'm on 3 copies of it, the little Dover cheap editions. It's classics for poor people. And so I said, you know, I'm looking for a book by Dostoevsky. Who? Like Dostoevsky, you know, the guy that wrote Brothers Karamazov, the most important novel in Western literature after maybe Don Quixote. Don who? No habla español. No, seriously, we're in deep trouble. We're really in deep trouble. I mean, I ask young people now, you know, I had to read things in school. I don't know what they do now. But I'm amazed. It's becoming harder to find people to talk to. Because this is what people, I mean, those of you who are from traditional cultures, I know you had to read like Iqbal, and you had to memorize some poetry. You had to do Jami and Hafid and Rumi, right? If you're from Turkey, you had to know some Yunus Emre. It's just part of being a human being. It's like learning literature, learning the great ideas of the past. People now, it's amazing, but they all know what the latest Google app is, or they know how they've got to some score level, like master score on Grand Theft Auto, where you go around stealing cars and running over old ladies with baskets and getting points for killing old ladies. That's in Grand Theft Auto, right? This is what your young kids are doing. Seriously. And we've got mirror neurons. Our brains can't even distinguish between this stuff. And then they wonder why some kid goes into a school and shoots everybody. The FBI, when they went down to that thing that happened, I think it was in Virginia, and this kid got 7 shots off, and he hit 7 kids in their head. What the FBI want to know about is where he trained. Because it's very hard to hit moving objects accurately. If anybody, I mean, I grew up with guns. It's not easy to hit a moving object. Well, where he got it was from a video game where you got higher points by getting the headshots. And this is a kid who, and then when he was finished, he just dropped the gun, like, what did I just do? He thought it was a video game, only it was school. We had kids in Japan that watched so much Pokemon that they went into epileptic seizures. We've got ADD, right? Attention deficit disorder, and they're saying, well, I wonder where it's coming from. You know, hello? They're playing these games all day long that go at about 95 miles per hour at the beginner's rate. You're up to like the speed of sound when you become a master. And this is what their little brains are doing. We know all this stuff, neuroplasticity. Their brains are being rewired. This is what we're up against, people. And you want to know why we think Muslim schools are important? Because if they're not in Muslim schools, you're going to educate them somewhere. It's hard to do it at home. And if you send them to these public schools, good luck. That's all I have to say. Because if you ask my opinion, if you want to give me a fatwa, if you want a fatwa from me, I really consider it prohibited by the Islamic law to send a child to a public school in this country. That is my personal opinion. I really believe that it is prohibited. I would rather my child be illiterate, and wallahi, as Allah is my witness, I swear to God, as Allah is my witness, I would rather that my son was an illiterate, honorable street sweeper than that he was a kafir who loses his way in this world and denies his Lord or falls into the worst forms of sin, that he becomes so defiled by this world that even his own parents don't recognize him. And if you don't think this is happening in our community, I don't know where you're living. This is happening in the traditional lands of Islam. We're losing our children. I've had Muslims come to me with their children. A person I know in California. Help me with my child. He doesn't believe in Islam anymore. What do you want me to do? I can't do anything. No, sit down and talk to him. You can convince him. The time for convincing is long past. Because there was a time he didn't need any convincing. She didn't need any convincing. Because they were fitra creatures. We know the spiritual lives of children. There's a recent study that's been done. It was a massive study. Human beings are religious by nature. Donate this money to something useful. Human beings are religious by nature. Children have a natural tendency to believe in the unseen. They have a natural tendency to believe in the unseen. Fakhruddin al-Razi said that the greatest proof that children know that everything is cause and effect, he said, all you have to do is take a little child before it can think, before it can even speak, and hide and throw a ball or a rock. I did this on my kids, each one of them, so I tested it, and it works. He said, throw a ball so that it just kind of appears out of nowhere to the child, because they're just sitting there, sucking their thumb or playing, and then just drop a ball and hide. You know what they all do? The same thing. And then they crawl and start looking for the source. Where did it come from? Because that is the fitrah of human beings. And the great question is, where did this all come from? Where did we all come from? Where did we get these eyes to see? Oh, well, it developed gradually through a process of natural selection. Okay, that's fine. I can buy the mechanism, but who directed it? Well, that's it. Natural selection directed it. A lot of miscellaneous mishaps, misfires. It went in several directions till it got it right. Okay, that's fine. Why did it get it right? Why? If you deny design, you're completely mad. You are. I don't care if you have the Isaac Newton Chair of Mathematics in the most prestigious university in the world. I don't care how many degrees you have. If you deny design in the world, as far as I'm concerned, you're a lunatic. Because we can recognize design. I can clearly recognize the design here. That was definitely designed to hold a liquid. It's not solid. I can recognize the design here. That cap was designed to hold that liquid in there in case I turned it over. And oh, it's even got a spout. I can pour it into that. It's all perfect, right? I can recap it so no germs get in there or whatever. Oh, and the table, it's wonderful, right? It's designed there to put it's all there. I can do that. And yet you can't see the design. وَفِي أَنفُسِكُمْ أَفَلَا تُبْصِرُونَ. You can't see what you were designed for. I mean, isn't it interesting how perfect it all works? Did you ever think about wudu and just how you were designed for wudu? Allah doesn't tell us like you have to do wudu like this or that. No, it's all perfect. It just flows. And how good do you feel after wudu? Seriously, if I didn't have wudu, subhanallah. I mean, one of the great blessings in life, don't you, Imam Zayd? Yeah, it's either wudu or voodoo, right? That's what we say. Haiti doesn't need voodoo, it needs voodoo. So I'm telling you, if you ask me, it's a good thing. Because I know where it comes from. You're saying, oh, it comes from the Zionist lobby, or it comes from the FBI, or it comes from the neoconservatives, or it comes from the right-wing Christians, or it comes from this, that, or the other. No. It's all from Allah. It's from God. He's the one that is forcing us to come to terms with the fact that we are not here to eat, to drink, to procreate, to have nice houses, to have nice cars. That's all fine and dandy. Those are accoutrements. That's not the reason you're here. The reason you're here is to establish the worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in yourselves and then invite others to it. We're not here. I'm not here, even though Imam Zayd is here to convert America. He has a strategic plan. He's going to announce his khilafah soon. He's already told me about it. We're not here I'm not here. Where's the takbir? I mean, subhanAllah, Ahmed. I'm not here to convert the United States of America to Islam. I'm not. Because I can't do anything. لا تهدي من أحببت. I love this people. This is my people. This is my home. I have to love them. You know, this is my people. This is where I'm from. This is my roots are here. You know, I have ancestors here. This is where I didn't come from Rawalpindi. I have nothing against Rawalpindi. It's probably a very beautiful city. That's not where I came from. Imam Zayd didn't come. He's here. He's been here for a long time. He came. We all came from somewhere else. If you want to go way back, we're all from Africa. We're all Africans. You know, white racists don't like to hear that, but it's true. It's been proven. We're all Africans. But, you know, I have ancestors mostly from Ireland, from Scotland. That's where they came from. Clans people came over here. I was an O Hanson before I was a Hanson. They took the O off because it was a negative thing to be an O something in America. Oh God. An Irishman. They didn't like Irish people. Seriously, that's why they call them fighting Irish, because they used to duke it out. You know, you talking to me? Same with the African American. They know what, you know, Mustafa, you know what America's about. Nothing was offered with gravy on a plate for the African American community, was it? Seriously. Huh? I mean, your tribe is Medgar Evers, right? Yeah, Rosa Parks. Huh? Sojourner Truth. Harriet Tubman. That's what, you talk to African American, they're like, what are the immigrants uptight about? Welcome to America. You know, seriously, welcome to America. Yeah, let's get ready. It's time to brawl. This is America. The way we welcome people, it's called the Fight Club. They beat you down until you can stand on your own feet and prove to them that you're not afraid of them. That's it. That's welcome to America. That's how this country welcomes immigrants. This group that came here from Pakistan and India and Syria and Yemen, and you guys got the red carpet treatment initially. They were just tricking you because you all had PhDs and engineering degrees, and they wanted to trick you in this place. But once they got you in here, they let you know, welcome to America. Yeah. Now that you're doing so well, welcome to America, right? Ahmed, I know the history of this country. A lot of people don't know the history. It's a dangerous thing, knowing history, because you look forward with hindsight. That's why we have a rear mirror in the car, right? Because you can see what's coming by knowing what's behind you. That's what history is about. Cicero said, if you don't know history, you are forever condemned to be a child. Anybody can do whatever they want with you. Welcome to America. We have to build institutions in this country and let people know not only are we here to stay, but with Muslims, it's going to be not just have a nice day, we're going to help you have a better day. That's what Muslims are about. We're productive people. We're hardworking people. We've got a small group of nutcases that are giving our community a very bad name. They don't represent us, and we cannot let them represent us. We have to let people know who we are. Osama bin Laden does not represent me or my religion. He has a different, completely different version of Islam. And as far as I'm concerned, not only is it misguided, the Prophet ﷺ is the first one that is bari'un minhum. Our Prophet has nothing to do. Ibn Qayyim al-Jawziyah, a person that they like to quote, Ibn Qayyim al-Jawziyah says, Islam is all rahmah. فَإِذَا انْتَقَلَتْ مِنَ الرَّحْمَةِ إِلَى ضِدِّهَا لَيْسَ مِنَ الْإِسْلَامِ. If it goes from mercy to something other than mercy, it's not from Islam. Now you tell me getting on a bus with little kids, women and children, people you don't know what their views are, they've never done anything to you as far as you know, and you blow them up, is that rahmah? Does that have anything to do with rahmah? It doesn't. I'm sorry. You get on a plane and hijack a plane, with people that paid money to go somewhere, doesn't have anything to do. That's not my Islam. And we have to let people know, not only is it not our Islam, it doesn't represent 0.0001% of our community. It is a statistically insignificant number. That's where we have to go as a community. My hope is that Zaytuna is not, it's not Imam Zayd, even though it's more him than it's me. Because he has worked tirelessly. And people don't know. You know, you see Imam Zayd, to me, is like a mountain. The closer you get to him, the bigger he gets. People see him from a distance. But Imam Zayd has been working tirelessly for this project. We've got a staff that has been working really above and beyond the call of duty. Their salaries are not commensurate with the work they're doing. And we live in a high salary area. But they're working hard. We're doing what we can, not for ourselves, not for the Bay Area. This is a project that is for our entire ummah. Because there are people in the Muslim world that are looking at this project. I swear to God, the Azharis are excited about it. We have the full cooperation of Al-Azhar University. Dr. Ahmed Al-Tayyib told me that. Mufti Ali Gumar endorsed us. Shaykh Abdullah bin Bayda, one of the leading scholars of Islamic legal theory in the Arabic language, endorses it. We have people in Turkey writing to us. We have people in Australia that are actually modeling on us. They want to build the same institution there. There's a Zaytuna in Germany that modeled on us. There is a school in England that modeled on us. And that's why we have to be a model of success. And the only way we're going to be a model of success is with your help. We can't do it without you. I swear to God, we cannot do it without you. Because He gave you victory. Allah gave you victory with His nasr. But the opinion that I prefer of the different exegetes is that wow is atf. It's ma'tuf alayh. That He also gave you victory with the believers. And you look at the people that the Prophet ﷺ had around him. Who could have handpicked those men? They were picked by God for him. Men and women. Sumayya, the first martyr of Islam. Khadija al-Kubra spent all her wealth. Abu Bakr, his wife Romana. Asma, a young girl taking up to the mountain in the threat of death to carry food up there. That's when the possession of 2 belts. These are the people that our Prophet had around him. His victory comes, you look at his history. His victory comes when Allah aided him with these people. Look at the turnaround when Hamza becomes Muslim. The attitude changes. Look at what happens when Umar ibn al-Khattab becomes Muslim. Look at what happens when Usayd ibn Hadir becomes Muslim. Look at what happens when these people become Muslim. Everything changes. And the same is true for any work that we do. It's based on ta'awunu ala al-birri wa taqwa. Help, join one another in birr and taqwa. It's the only way we can get it done. Thank you for your support today, but it has to continue. We can't do it without it. This is a real support for our community. May Allah reward all of you. Take you back to your home safely. Jazakumullah khairan.
Shaykh Hamza Yusuf, give him a big round of applause.